Hello and welcome to the Education on Fire podcast. The place where we share creative and inspiring learning in our schools. Season 4, Episode 62. Hello and welcome back to the Education on Fire podcast with me, Mark Taylor. It's now episode 62 and I just wanted to come on at the end of season 4 here and just say a big thanks to everyone that had been through and interviewed on the season and with the great information and just the really fantastic insights that we got from so many different people, which was absolutely brilliant. So we launched our season 4, episode 40, all the way back in the middle of October, back in 2017, and it's been quite a journey since then. And I wanted to come on and I wanted to thank everybody that's really supported us to learn that information and get all the things that we needed. And I guess really starting back with Jane Clancy, who was ex-head teacher from Hartwell Primary School, who just really was able to give us an insight about what happens when you can embed music into your school and the great results you can get that, but more importantly, what it takes to actually be in that position, which of course means putting the music assemblies in the diary, making sure that people know exactly what's going on and making it a priority for every child. And that was really insightful, that all the way back, and that was episode 42, which was a really, really important one, I think, for us. We also then had an interview with Ollie Tumner from Beat Goes On and talking about samba, which of course is something which I do as well, and his body percussion workshops. And I had the great privilege of actually watching him deliver one of his workshops a little bit later in the year at the Music and Drama Expo in Manchester, which was really interesting. And that was also the same session that you probably heard me playing spoons with Jo May, because she was doing one of the workshops there too, and she took me through. So that was episode 46, which is a really really fun one to go back and have a listen to. And what I really liked about this season was just the diversity, because I also did the interview with Brian Green, who was from GigaJam, and their award-winning interactive guitar, bass, keyboard and drum lessons, where it's supporting schools and children to learn in school, but also being able to use it out of school as well, because it's online. People can make the most of it in the best way they possibly can. So I really like that sort of whole range of being able to show what's available online, what's available in school, and just how we can really support our children to the best of our abilities for them. You know, what it is that really lights their fire, whether it's an electric guitar or whether it might even just be doing some singing. So whatever it happens to be, hopefully we've covered a lot of those things. And of course, it wasn't just music we did. We had a great conversation with Alison Swan, talking about how to use movement and dance in primary schools. That was back in episode 45. And the really interesting conversation I had with Claire Somerville from One Dance UK, who as an organisation can support you in so many ways of bringing dance into your school, and the great insight she said in terms of the funding that was available through the PE and dance as well. So that was episode 56. So I think that's really worth going back and having a listen if you think that might actually be something which is of really interest to you. As I said, when we're at the Music and Drama Education Expo in Manchester, as well as meeting Jo and Ollie, talking to the people from Orchestras for All, the chance for people to be able to get together and play in an orchestra which they might not normally be able to do. And also from Snake Maltings, the Friday afternoon singing was really inspiring, just because, really understanding the fact that you can actually have singing in your school. It's free, but also you can connect online and share some resources and share the things you're doing with them through their website, and just sort of having a community which isn't just about your school and your local schools, but actually a bit further afield in that sort of modern way that we've talked about before on this podcast. Really, really great stuff. I mean, maybe the one that I enjoyed the most in terms of actually being able to talk through what I really do is my conversation with Carol Aviard, when we talked about the first steps in primary music teaching. Carol's the person who I've known for a long time. I've done some samba workshops with her in her schools, but also I've taught her son drums for many years, and so I knew the way she worked. I knew the insights that she would deliver would be absolutely fantastic, and being able to just hear what's really key as a teacher, getting music just started in your primary school, and all the things that you can do, from how you're going to sit down and start a music lesson, some of the ideas and the development you can do in terms of doing some compositions and those things. I think that was really just you can just suddenly take some of the fear away and just have a bit of an idea about what's really, really key for the children. And a lot of that's just participation and being involved and being in the moment. And those things are really, really, really important. And the exciting news from that point of view is we are currently actually developing our own resources, which we're going to be able to deliver to you slightly later in the year. Maybe in the form of a course, or maybe just some downloadable resources which you'll be able to get, which I think will be really, really supportive for you, and just enable you just to get everything going in an easy way without having to invest too heavily. What I liked about the whole of this season was the fact that I tried to cover so many different things, as well as the resources that are available for you in terms of putting music into your school yourself. We spoke to David Jernak about the Apollo Music Projects and taking orchestras into the school and doing some stuff with the school, but over a period of time. So the first one going in, introducing some music, and then a slightly bigger ensemble, and then the children going to a venue which was larger with a larger orchestra where they could see some of the things that they'd done, and bringing all that together. And I think that's really important too, because so many children don't get the chance to experience live music really close up, which you can do when you're within school, and then see that bigger picture and the people that you've met from those workshops actually on stage doing what they do for a living, playing music from the heart and really getting the chance of what that feels like. And you can only do that through experience. And I think that's such a valuable workshop that they do and a valuable resource. And do check out Apollo Music Projects, because I think if you're anywhere near somewhere which they can do that for you, I think it'd be a really good one to be able to do. Of course, I also spoke to Joan Lind from Try Booking, and I thought that was a really important one. I spoke to her around the Christmas time when I've been going to many of our children's concerts and that kind of thing, and the whole system of how do you know where to sit at your child's concert. Do you have to get there early and reserve all the chairs and make sure that you can see and not knowing where you are? Try Booking just gave all those solutions in terms of getting tickets, about knowing where you're going to seat, being able to pay, and of course this resource is free. If your concert's free, there's no charge, and you get all the fabulous benefits of actually being involved in with a company that's actually got these things in place. And then it was just such a small amount of money if you're actually charging, which you can either pass on as part of your ticket money or just a small admin fee for the people booking. And I think just all those sorts of things really take the pressure off of you as a teacher in a school when you're actually putting on these events. I think it really just, the time and the effort saved is absolutely invaluable. And I think just knowing these things are out there and a way of going to get it is brilliant. And do look at trybooking.co.uk. Well, I spoke to Jonathan Savage from You Can Play. What I really liked about it, and the reason I came across Jonathan, was because I was searching for funding. If you've got an idea for schools, if you want to bring more music to your children, how do you do it if you haven't got the budget, or how do you go about getting the budget for it? And he, on his website, has a way of all the different ways you can get funding for schools, whether it's by doing some kind of cross-curricular event, or whether you sort of think about how you can do something with different schools, and just, you have to think slightly outside of the box and work hand in hand really with your music hub, which of course I think he was a trustee of, so he really understands how that works. But just talking to the people that really know these things, the people that are connected with people within arts organisations, through education, that can really help you deliver the type of thing that you want. It's really hard to do it on your own, but actually if you can work with other people, I think it really just brings everything together, and it gets inspiring because of course they bring the best out of you in the way that you also bring the best out of them, which is really, really key. I really think that's the case. So the other thing I really liked from an experience point of view was when I had the great conversation with Craig McLeish, who's obviously the musical director of Young Voices. You will know, I'm sure, Young Voices is such a vast educational concert, singing concert for children. They do in January, February, even to the beginning of March, I think some of them might have been, these concerts in arenas. It's the one I went to watch my daughter was in the O2. I mean, it's a massive arena. There were sort of 7,900 children singing that night, I think it was. Just amazing. A great experience for them, and they had a fantastic live band, and his passion about what's important to children, and also making sure the resources you get as a school so that you can help teach these songs to the children is put together in in a really child-friendly way, in a teacher-friendly way, which makes the experience from start to finish really enjoyable for you as an educator, and I have to say as a parent as well. These venues really knew what they were doing. You know, we got through security really quickly. The staff were friendly, saying goodbye as you left, and really looked after everybody. And the whole thing was something that I really, really enjoyed. And if you remember back on that podcast, Craig did say if any of you have anything to say about your experience, I mean, do get in touch with me, Mark at educationonfire.com, because we can do a follow-up episode and actually any questions you have, anything you liked, anything that you really wanted to sort of get across to young voices, you can do that, and we can have that sort of follow-up idea. So yeah, feel free to get in touch if you want to do that, and that's something that we can do at a later stage. Of course, there are fabulous online resources out there as well, and I think we spoke to some of the best and diverse in terms of speaking with Anthony Copus at Out of the Ark. I mean, the resources they have, and certainly their nativity things that they have, and their wealth and banks of songs that they produce are really unprecedented, and I think their desire to get into the educational support for teachers with their CPD and some of the systems and skills they're putting in place to support schools is going to be really interesting. I really hope we do get the chance to go back and witness firsthand how some of those are being put together. I really enjoyed, of course, my conversation with Mark Burt from Turanga, and many of you will use the online resource Turanga. It's widely used and has a great database of just so many songs that you can put together, and it's really interesting from, you know, how it all comes together. You know, speaking to the person who devised it, developed it, you know, saw the way to develop it even further when they had to worry about the copywriting and wanted to expand their song titles and all that sort of thing. And all that's done for you, you know, and it's such a reasonable cost for a yearly subscription. And speaking of yearly subscriptions, of course, my conversation with Eric Wagner from Active Music Digital, that was episode 58, Practical Music Teaching in the Primary Classroom. The resources that are available there are really incredible. I think it's 600 lesson plans or 600 videos, 200 odd lesson plans, and really, really cheap as well. Just £75 for Key Stage 1, £99 for Key Stage 2, and only £149.50 for the two combined. And if you want this, there's a 10-day free trial. Just go to the Active Music Digital website, and you can do that for, free for 10 days. And the offer that he gave us, which was brilliant, was that if you sign up for the year, you get 18 months, so you get 6 months free. And all you need to do that is to sign up as you would do normally on their website, but also drop me an email, Mark at Education on Fire, let me know your name and the name of your school, and you'll get that extra 6 months for free, which was really kind of him. And I hope that really helps you to make the most of what's available. You know, that's what this podcast is all about. It's supporting you with resources and hopefully supporting you financially and any other way that we can, just to be able to give you something you might not be able to get otherwise. And I've got a little something for you a little bit later on in this podcast as well, a little giveaway should you want to have a little bit of hands-on music in your school delivered by me. So that's coming up in just a few minutes. I also like the fact that when I spoke to Liz Webb from Syncphonia, you know, the whole idea of replacing the paper scores with a digital system. I mean, I love the fact that technology is coming into the schools in those ways, in new ways. And what's really, really incredible for me is the fact that it makes so much sense. You know, we talked a little bit about children losing their music, not bringing it in for rehearsals and all that kind of thing. And to be able to read off of a tablet, I thought was a really, really ingenious idea, and I can really see how it would work. And also the fact that they'd thought through so many things. Some of the things, like we said, about reading further down the music and turning pages and all of that kind of thing, they'd really thought about, and the way she described how all that works on their system, I thought was really good. And so that in episode 59, I just love the fact that it was in its infancy and it was just starting to get out there, but it will really, really help so many people, and I'm sure it will grow and grow as more and more people become aware of it. And of course, my conversation with Sue Nichols about primary music. I mean, as a specialist with so much experience, and I've taken part in some of Sue's workshops. They are incredible because they're very hands-on. It's all about getting the participants and children up and moving, and also just the idea that I know it can be scary sometimes doing some of these things, but it's just about repetition. It's about just pushing your comfort zone a little bit, but then you realise how easy it is to do. Things like, oh, I need to say something on my own, but when you realise the only thing you've got to say on your own is your name, which of course you know, then it becomes really simple, and you just expand bit by bit. And I think it's understanding those things and growing and experience these things as a class, as the person that's delivering these things, especially if you're not a specialist. It's really, really important that you feel comfortable enough that you can support the children for them to be comfortable too, and really, really interesting conversations, which I think were absolutely essential, really, in terms of really supporting you to help sort of music and the arts become part and parcel of what it is really a vibrant school, if you're able to get that going on a regular basis, and part of the heartbeat of a school through arts and of course other things like sport and drama as well. I think one of the things which disappointed me, actually, from my sort of grand plans of starting season 4 was the fact that I really wanted to get some insights from some of the education departments of some really large organisations, especially here in the UK. And I found it really difficult. Even national organisations and royal organisations, I won't name them specifically, that I actually work for, where I actually have an in, where I have an email and a phone number for someone to contact and say, look, I'm creating this podcast, I want to share all your resources and all your education that you have out there. And I still hit a brick wall. I was still not able to get through to the right person in the education department, or they wouldn't return my calls and they wouldn't return my emails. And I find that really disappointing, especially the ones which are given quite a lot of money through the Arts Council in terms of trying to support schools and children in that kind of thing. You really just need to be able to hopefully get a response when you approach these people. And I know as a school, when time is limited, it must be really frustrating doing that. And I have to say, I have heard stories about this before, but I was really surprised how difficult it was. And I didn't just approach them at once. I tried different avenues. I tried different ways in, people that I knew within these organisations, not just in the music departments or the education departments, and still didn't get any joy. And I think that really is something that needs to be looked at, especially with these organisations that are, getting millions and millions of pounds for their artistic endeavours, which is brilliant, but also quite a lot of money from their education departments as well. And they really do need to be serving the education system. And part of that has to be just actually being able to have a conversation with them and actually finding what's available, because without that, how are you going to get in and get that experience of what they have to offer? So that was really enlightening for me and somewhat concerning, I think, a little bit. So some things which we have, which hopefully will still be of benefit to you, apart from listening to the podcast, any of the ones that you didn't actually get to listen to. And as I said, it started at episode 40. The final one, as I'm talking now, is episode 62. So do go through and have a listen to all of those and check out the ones that you might want to listen to again. If you go to educationonfire.com, and then click on About the Show, I've actually got a list of all the podcasts there, so you can see them all in the titles, and the link will take you straight through to the podcast player on the website. Of course, the other way of listening is on iTunes or Stitcher if you're on Android. If you have an iPhone, iPad, just go to the podcast app and search for Education on Fire. All the episodes will come up with the descriptions, and so you can find it and have a listen, obviously, at your leisure. Maybe whether you're walking the dog or going to the gym or you're commuting to school, hopefully all of these things will be able to be supportive for you. I also posted 12 samba videos and rhythm game videos on the blog. So as well as various other things that I've posted on the blog during this time, if you go to educationonfire.com, go to the actual search bar and just literally put in rhythm games, that'll give you video 1 of those 12. And it starts there just talking and you'll see us sat in a circle doing polls, doing rhythms, sending information around the class, and it's a really great way just to get everyone engaged and building their confidence. And each of these videos takes you from that first stage all the way through to actually having a samba project and a samba piece of music which is being performed. So hopefully you find that interesting. It's all completely free. Just go on to the educationonfire.com and that's on the blog then. As I said, just use the little search icon and from there you can find exactly what you need. I think one of the biggest takeaways I had was the fact that what you really need to really get all these things going is a supportive head and a supportive department and a supportive governing body that just makes it important for music and the arts to be part of the school. Because without that support, it's really, really difficult for you as teachers to be able to implement anything, because not only do you need the finance, but of course you need the time and you need the support to be able to put all these things together. And so I think that's been one of the really big takeaways for me, is just that without that head, how do you go about doing that? And it's something I want to address more in the future, I think, is how do you take an idea, a system or a plan or a new education idea and get it in your school? And that might be you as a teacher taking it to your boss effectively, but it might also be if you're listening as a parent, and I hadn't realised quite how many parents listen to this podcast, and thank you very much for listening. You know, if it's something you want your child to experience, and primary school is all about experiences for children, I believe, is just go and ask them, you know, is it important to, as a school, you know, what's the ethos of the school? You know, do we want the children to be exposed to lots of things? Are the arts important? Is music important? And if they say yes, which they often do, ask them to say, well, in which case, could we try this? Could we try that? If it's got a cost, maybe go to the PTA, see if they're able to help fund it. So I think supporting your head in supporting you to get the experience that you'd like for the children, whether you're a teacher and it's your class, or whether you're a parent wanting to expand what's on offer in your school, then I think all those things are incredibly important. And hopefully we've, especially with my conversation with Peter Cancel, obviously, last time on episode 61, just rounding up these things, and obviously his experience as a head teacher and how he had the arts in his school. So just looking forward to the future for season 5, it's looking like we may well have a season that focuses on physical education. Please feel free to contact me and let me know what I can do to support you in these seasons. If you think it should be something else, or there's something that you need support with, and what's frustrating you as a teacher, or what's frustrating you as a parent within the school, let me know, because that way we can start to really focus on how we're going to build the podcast for the future and give you some resources and some support in the best way that we possibly can. As we know, music is my passion, which is one of the reasons this season's been so long, so it's 20 odd episodes. I think what I'm going to be doing from now on is we're going to have some more shorter seasons so we can get through some topics, because of course in the primary schools, teachers are having to teach lots of different subjects in lots of different areas, and I actually want to get through a whole lot of different subjects and different resources, so that there's a real database and a bank of wealth of information that really can support teachers to go to, and we can then come back to some of these things and talk in a bit more depth. So the next seasons are going to be around 4 to 6 weeks only, with some great resources which you can then delve into in a bit more detail, with some people who've got real great insights into the subjects that we're going to cover. We're now being listened to in 65 countries around the world, which is just incredible. It's such an amazing thought, and much further reach than I ever thought when we started this podcast. So thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate all the comments and the emails of people that have sent things to me. Please keep going, because I love the interaction. I really, really, really like the fact that people are getting engaged and coming in. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. So it's a thank you for all of you out there listening, and I really do appreciate everything that you've been doing, from the comments and the emails that I've been getting. It's fantastic to really hear your thoughts and all the support out there. If you would like me to personally come to your school and deliver you a day of samba workshops for you, all you have to do, as a big thank you for me, for you listening, is go to educationonfire.com and sign up to the newsletter on the homepage. Just put your details in there, and then just email me and just say, yes, this is my name, this is my school, we'd love for you to come and give us a day of workshops. All I ask is that you cover my travel expenses. my time and everything else will be absolutely free. I can turn up with all my instruments and deliver a day for you. So that's my thank you, as personal as it can be, for your support and your listening and everything that we have. So this opportunity is a limited time offer for those of you listening after March 2018. So in order to take part in this, please go and sign up at the educationonfire.com website, and it's available until the end of March 2018. So you've got a couple of weeks to get on and book your spots for you, and I hope we get a chance to share some great times and to enjoy making some music together. If you just want to sign up to the newsletter, that's the absolute best way for you to keep in contact with me and know what's going on. I can let you know when season 5 is going to start, and there's also some extra giveaways and information that I often share with the people that are signed up. So do that. Go to educationonfire.com. On the homepage, there's a big section there where you can just enter your email address and your name, and that way I can keep you up to date with all the latest stuff that's actually happening. Of course, the other thing to do to make sure you know and get the latest episodes is if you go to iTunes and subscribe, and that way, as soon as there's a new episode released, it will pop up in your smartphone or your however it is that you listen to the podcast. I also just wanted to tell you some great customer service I had. I ordered some Heckos from a company called Knock on Wood here in the UK, and great customer service, got my instruments really quickly, great price, and I just wanted to share that for you. Just hope if you're in the UK or you want some musical instruments, check them out. Yeah, they're called knockonwood.co.uk. Thanks so much for listening, and I really appreciate all the support we have. If you have any frustrations as a teacher or a parent, just let me know, and we'll try and start to develop how we're going to move the podcast forward in future seasons to try and give you as much support as we possibly can to help solve those frustrations, or at least give you a way forward to get the best experience that your child can possibly have in their schooling. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks for listening to the Education on Fire podcast. For more information of each episode and to get in touch, go to educationonfire.com. Education is not the filling of a pail, but the lighting of a fire.